class CR. Okay,
Yes, sir.
okay. I'm going to share the screen in a short while. Okay, CR, could you see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm going to share the slides also. So, could you see the slides as well?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Okay, the last time, actually, last evening you asked me the question regarding the syllabus for the midterm. Okay, so the midterm syllabus will include arithmetical bending complete and just before the derivation of shear center. So horizontal stress distribution is including in the midterm course. So if anyone is having question before I start the lecture, he can raise the hand and may ask me the question. Before I start the lecture, if someone is having any question, so he can raise the hand. Okay, before I start, how many students have downloaded and watched the video recorded lecture that I have shared? Please raise the hand. Students, please raise the hand who have watched the lecture. Okay, it means that most of the students they have downloaded and watched the lecture. Only few they may have some. Okay, Mr. Nushan. Mr. Nushan, any specific reason that you haven't watched or downloaded the lecture, please respond. Nushan, Nushan Nafis, if you are there, please respond me. Okay, maybe not there. Okay, Siva Rashid. मिस्टर राशिद, ये भी लगता है ऑनलाइन होके सो गया. असदुर रहमान.
यस सर, असदुर रहमान.
सलमान, आपको इस स्पेसिफिक रीजन आपने डाउनलोड क्यों नहीं किया लेक्चर अभी?
सर वो मुझे पता ही नहीं था सर क्या करना है.
अच्छा, कोई नहीं, आस्ता आस्ता साल 2 साल स्पेंड करोगे ना इसी कोर्स में तो पता चल जाएगा.
सर सिर्फ एक साल रह गया अब तो.
कोई मसला नहीं, डिग्री जरूरी थोड़ी 4 साल में करे. आपको 3 साल में ये नहीं पता चला कि यार MS टीम पे लिंक अगर शेयर हो तो उस लिंक से लेक्चर कैसे डाउनलोड करके बात करते हैं. तो इसका मतलब है तुम्हें भी तो यही सीखना है कि नहीं?
सर असाइनमेंट से बहुत है आजकल, बर्डन बहुत ज़्यादा. सर पता नहीं चल रहा क्या करना है क्या नहीं करना.
भाई सिविल इंजीनियर ऐसे भी बनता है ना. अगर आपको इतना बर्डन है फिर सिंपल BA कर लो ना. आपकी फैमिली में इज्जत है कि नहीं थोड़ी बहुत? क्या बच्चा इंजीनियर बन रहा है UT में, तो इसलिए ना कि आप टैलेंटेड हो. आप प्रेशर हैंडल कर सकते हो, यू आर डिफरेंट फ्रॉम दी नॉर्मल और एवरेज स्टूडेंट, इसलिए तो इंजीनियरिंग कर रहे हो ना, स्पेशल हो। तो फील्ड में कैसे करोगे यार, प्रोजेक्ट कैसे हैंडल करोगे, ये आपकी ट्रेनिंग है। दूसरा तो फिर यही रीज़न है कि नहीं हैंडल हो रहा तो फिर आप सिंपल बीए कर लें, ठीक है, दैट इज नॉट दी एक्सक्यूज, ठीक है, हो जाएगा, कोई इशू नहीं। आप नेक्स्ट टाइम ना उसको देखें, तो जो भी इसमें से क्वेश्चन हैं आप मुझसे पूछें, इसलिए आपको वो देखें वीडियो रिकॉर्डेड दी गई है, मैं यूजुअली देता नहीं वीडियो रिकॉर्डिंग लेक्चर वगैरह स्टूडेंट्स को।
So we know the boundary condition. So
अब्दुल जाहिद, आर यू देयर? अब्दुल जाहिद, अब्दुल जाहिद।
यस सर, यस सर।
हाँ जी, आप बताएं, आपसे आपने क्यों नहीं डाउनलोड किया लेक्चर अभी?
सर वो मेरा तो रात से सर वाईफाई कनेक्शन ही नहीं आ रहा था, अभी सुबह भी मैंने पैकेज
भाई
किया।
रात का मैंने ये कोई, ओके मुझे पता है,
कल से सर,
मैंने
कल ही देखनी थी ना,
कल नहीं
कल
देखी
मैंने
थी
प्लान
मैंने।
की थी देखने।
अच्छा, मैंने एक हफ्ता पहले लिंक शेयर किए हैं और आपने कल प्लान किया था।
तो वो
आप मुझे
टाइम से
मैसेज कर
देख
दिया
लेते हैं
करो,
ना
मैं
तो सही रहता।
आप मुझे मैसेज कर दिया करो यार, मैं आपका पैकेज खुद लगा दिया करूँगा, ठीक है, तो
पर
आप
वो पता नहीं
सपोर्ट
ना
कर
था
सकते
कैसे हो जाएगा।
हैं यार, इसको भी नहीं पता है, कोई बात नहीं, आपको भी डिग्री अगले 2-3 साल डिले कर देते हैं। कोई अच्छा
नो
एक्सक्यूज
सर,
दिया करो यार, कोई अच्छा
सर
एक्सक्यूज दिया
यही
करो, ये
एक्सक्यूज
मैंने
है
बहुत।
सर, हुआ ही है ये रात को ना मेरे साथ।
चलो कोई बात नहीं। मिस्टर जहांगीर, आपका कोई अच्छा सा एक्सक्यूज? मोहम्मद जहांगीर, मोहम्मद जहांगीर।
यस सर।
हाँ जी, आपने देखे लेक्चर वगैरह डाउनलोड करके?
यस सर, देख रहा हूँ अभी भी।
अभी अच्छा अच्छा,
देखे
यानी
भी
कि
हैं सर
2 घंटे
सारे।
के फास्ट फॉरवर्ड पे, फास्ट फॉरवर्ड पे देख रहे। चलिए ठीक है, ओके, अनरेज दी हैंड प्लीज स्टूडेंट्स, अनरेज दी हैंड, ऑल स्टूडेंट्स प्लीज अनरेज दी हैंड। So students, I have shared the lecture because I told you that I have a throat infection, so I could not speak properly. So I have downloaded the lecture in advance so that I could only explain some important concepts or important features from the lecture. So if you are not paying attention, then you will not be able to maybe pass this subject, because this is a very difficult course and you have to understand some basic concept. So I was expecting that most of the students they would watch this lecture before joining this team session. But anyhow, it is up to you that whether you want to pass this subject with good grades or maybe some below average marks. Okay, here I will just explain some important features of this column topic, and then you can watch all the video recorded lecture yourself. So first of all, actually, I would like to give you the differentiation, how we can differentiate between bending and buckling. So actually, you already know that in structural analysis, we idealize various structural elements. So for example, we are having the line element. So line elements are the elements where the cross section is very small as compared to the length. So line element in our structure may be the column or maybe the beam. So further, the line element can be categorized into column and beam, and depending upon the loading behavior. If line element is subjected to longitudinal loading, or if the load is acting parallel to the longitudinal axis or passing through the longitudinal axis, then the behavior of the line element will be referred as a column. But on the other hand, if the load is acting in transversal direction, perpendicular to the line element, then the behavior of the line element will be referred as a beam. So actually, the bending is the phenomenon that normally occurs in beam due to the transversal loading in line element. So what happens when we apply the gradual loading or transversal loading on any beam? So when we are keep on increasing the load from zero to the failure, so movement is increasing and also deflection in the beam is increasing. So what we can say that deflection occurs in a beam and that is the gradual phenomena and it keeps on increasing until the plastic hinge develops or beam collapse. But on the other hand, buckling is the phenomenon that occurs in column due to the axial compressive force, and that is the sudden out of plane bending due to the compressive axial force. It means that the buckling occurs suddenly. It is not gradual. So I will explain that how it will occur gradually and how, suddenly. So why it is not gradual. So for example, we are having a long column, which is an ideal column. We will discuss after this definition of buckling or the critical load of buckling, that what are the ideal or the real column. So for example, we are having this column, line element, which is subjected to the compressive axial force. And just for your understanding, I'm assuming that cross-section area of this column is equal to 1. And this column is made of steel, and the steel is 836. 836 means yield strength of steel is 250 megapascal. So how this column responds to the axial force? If we are applying the axial force, for example, 0, and then I'm increasing the load from 0 to 10. So corresponding to 10 Newton load, 10 Newton divided by cross-section area, which is equal to 1. So corresponding to 10 Newton, applied stresses will be 10 megapascal. So it means that when we apply the load 10, so even though the column is subjected to certain load, but column will be remain stable. Stable means that you cannot observe any lateral deflection. So column will be perfectly straight. But on the other hand, if we would have the lateral load, maybe in case of the bending or in case of the beam, so again, whatever is the load, you shall always have a small deflection. But in this case, even though the column is subjected to certain load, but column maintains its position, so it is stable. So it will never deflect in out of plane direction, and applied stresses are 10 megapascal. So I'm keep on increasing the load. For example, 10, 20, 50. Okay, when I approach to the load 50, again column is perfectly stable straight. It is not undergoing any lateral deflection. There is no any sign of deflection as well. So corresponding to load 50, the stresses are 50 megapascal because cross-section area is 1. And at the moment, I'm still believing that we still have 200 megapascal reserve capacity because yield stress is 250 and applied stresses are 50 megapascal. So it means that how come the column is stabilizing or maintaining the position under axial force. So I'm keep on increasing the load until I approaches to a particular value, when applied load will be equal to any specific load value which I am referring as a critical load. So why we refer as a critical load, we shall discuss later on. And you have already performed one experiment, maybe determination of critical load of the column. So you will see that at this load, and for example, the load is 80. So at this load 80, column will slightly undergo small out of plane deflection. So this deflection will only occur at specific load value when applied load will be equal to some particular load value. So this load value at which the column is undergoing a small lateral deflected configuration is referred as a critical load. And for example, this load is 80 Newton. If you just reduce a load fractionally, maybe the load is, I can say, 89.999 Newton, which is just fractionally less than 80. So column will be again become straight, stable. So it means that this small deflection will only occur when applied load will be just equal to a specific load value which is called P critical, which for example here I'm referring as a 80. That could be any arbitrary load. So at 80 load, the stress in this steel column will be 80 megapascal. So 250 minus 80, it means that we still have 170 megapascal reserve capacity. It's what we believe that it can carry maybe it's 170 megapascal more stress. But what happens if I just apply the load fractionally more than P critical, which is 80? If I just apply the load 80.0001, so column suddenly bend in out of the plane direction and it fails. It will never come back to original position. So that is the behavior of the column under compression. So buckling always occurs if a load is equal to or more than P critical. So at this point, a sudden out of plane bending of the column due to the axial compressive force is referred as a buckling. So this is how the buckling is different from bending. So how we can define the critical load? This is a load value at which column is slightly attain a deflected configuration, or this is a maximum load value that a column can withstand before buckling. So we can refer this stage as a stable equilibrium, because if you remove the load, if the load is less than equal to P critical, and if you remove the load, column will come back to original position. So at zero load, the stress will be zero. And at P critical, we will have the stable or the neutral equilibrium. And if the load is more than P critical, column will never come back to original position. So this is the load versus lateral deflection. So lateral deflection, this delta value. So if we are keep on increasing the load, no out of plane deflection until we approaches to a threshold value which is equal to P critical. And if we apply the load more than P critical, column suddenly fail, buckle or bend in out of the plane direction and fail. So this phenomenon will only occur in an ideal column. Ideal column means the column which is prismatic. Prismatic means which is having the constant cross-section area. Material is homogeneous. Loading is steel column. It may have little out of plane deflection, and due to this, actual center line may deviate from the theoretical center line. And further, if the applied load is not passing through the theoretical or actual center line, rather it is acting at a plane or axis other than the actual or theoretical center line, so its load will also have the eccentricity. So here we are referring the ET. ET is the eccentricity between theoretical center line and actual center line, and EP is the loading eccentricity with respect to theoretical center line. So due to this reason, if the column is real column or it is not the ideal, so we shall always have the eccentricity. So due to this eccentricity, the column will be subjected to bending moment along with compressive force. So in this case, what will occur? What will happen? So column is subjected to bending. So due to this bending, for example here, due to this total eccentricity is ET plus EP. The column will be subjected to clockwise bending moment. And due to clockwise bending moment, we shall have tension on this side and compression on this side. So it means that in this case, column is subjected to bending along with compressive forces. So in such case, if we are having any eccentricity or imperfection, so due to imperfection, the column is subjected to some extra stresses, or its capacity will be less than the column corresponding to the ideal case, or which is free from any eccentricity or imperfection. And further, due to this bending moment, because column is subjected with the bending moment along with axial force. So even though we are keep on increasing the load value is less than critical load. So column will undergo small out of plane deflection before, even though the load is less than P critical, and until we approaches to the failure load. And failure load in imperfect column will always be less than P critical corresponding to the ideal column. So P critical of real column is always less than P critical of ideal column, and with the increase of eccentricity, even though the load is less than P critical, column will undergo out of plane deflection, gradual deflection due to the bending moment. And resultant stress will be P over A, compressive stresses due to the axial force, and My over I, bending stresses due to the bending moment. C is the distance from neutral axis to the extreme fiber because we are supposed to compute maximum bending stress. So resultant stress will be summation of axial plus collective stresses. If we are summing up the stress component, so we will have the more compressive stresses on this side and lesser stresses here because tensile and compressive stresses they are countering each other. So resultant stress can be determined by this formula. So I'm considering the compressive stresses as a negative, sorry, positive. So if you want, you can write this question like you can write negative sign here because we are supposed to compute the magnitude regardless the sign. So next, what I would like to explain. So please go through the derivation of this Euler formula in the video recorded lecture, and most of the time I give some part from this derivation in my question or in quizzes. So in this derivation we have derived the formula with critical load to determine the critical load for the long ideal column. The critical load of the long ideal column is equal to pi square EI over L square. So we believe that we have already discussed this already in our lab classes. I'm not going to explain the effective length factor and effective length and this slide. And then we can convert the critical load into critical stress. If critical load at which the buckling may occur is divided by the cross-section area, so we can convert into critical stress. So critical load is equal to pi square EI over L square, and this area is here. So I is equal to AR square. So this A will be cancelled with the A from this AR, and R will come in the denominator. So the expression will become pi square E over L E over R square. So which is the slenderness ratio. So you can represent the slenderness ratio by R. So here pi is constant, E is constant. So it means that the critical stress of a long column are inversely proportional to the slenderness ratio square, which is the quadratic function. So this formula is only applicable for the long column. So if you are fixing the stress value between the long and short column, you can determine the critical slenderness ratio. Okay, before coming back to this uh, definition of long and short column, so actually from our knowledge of steel structure, so different codes and different specifications, they categorize the long column, short column by a different way. So by AISC, American Institute of Steel Construction, we do not have the intermediate column. We either have the long column or short column. So depending upon the long column and short column, we need to determine the capacity by different formula. So the capacity of the long column can be determined by the either formula, and similarly the capacity of the short column is determined by a different formula, which is 0.658. I will show you the formula also in a short while. So we are having different formula actually. So I just want to give you the overview of steel structure. So in steel structure, so we are having this threshold value. So if a column fails at a stress value less than equal to 0.5 Fy, if either critical stresses or buckling stresses are less than equal to 50% of yield value, then the column will be regarded as a long column. So further, I told you that this formula is only applicable for ideal column. Ideal column is free from any imperfection. But if the column is having some imperfection, so AISC says that if out of plane imperfection, which is out of plane, that we discuss. This delta value. If this delta value is less than equal to length divided by 250, then we do not need to determine the actual reduction of capacity due to the imperfection. Then in that case, in order to avoid the lengthy calculation, AIC recommend that we can reduce the capacity by 12.3%, or in that case, whatever is the capacity for critical stress, multiply this value by 0.877. So what is this factor 0.877? This is the capacity reduction factor due to imperfections in the column, or to convert the failure stress of ideal column to real column. So 1 minus 0.877 answer is 0.123. So it means that we are reducing the capacity by 12.3%. And if you substitute the value of Fe 0.5 Fy, so this answer will be 0.44 Fy. So for 83060, just to refresh the knowledge, so for 83060, we know that Fy is equal to 250 megapascal. So it means that in that case, critical stress, maximum critical stress for the long column may be equal to, this is the maximum value. It means that long column will always fail at a stress value less than equal to 0.44 Fy. So let me use this value. So 0.44 Fy. So this value will be what I say 250, and answer will be, let me compute the answer, 110 megapascal. So it means that a long column will always fail at a stress value less than 110 megapascal. So I just, this is not the exact formula that we are going to use. So we are having the formula for sigma critical. Sigma critical mean that this formula. So we are having this formula and so actually Fe and sigma C are they are same. So in this formula, if you substitute this value as a 110, so you can determine the R value, and R value that you have determined that was 133 in your speed structure. So it means that if the standardized ratio will be more than 133, that will be long column, and it will always fail at a stress value 110 megapascal. So this was proposed by AISC. Okay, but as per different structural analysis books, you can fix your own threshold value to differentiate between the long column and short column. Concept will be same. AISC has fixed the value just I have explained here, but in this structure analysis book, he has used a different value. So I will give you. So proportional limit divided by factor of safety. So we use it. AISC use factor of safety 2. But here in this book, structure analysis, he has used the factor of safety 1.25 instead of 2. So sigma critical value for the long column is fixed by 200 megapascal. So as per definition considered by this structural analysis, so we consider that a long column will always fail at a stress value less than equal to 200 megapascal. So if you are substitute critical stress equal to 200, you can compute the corresponding standardized ratio, which is 100. It means that a long column is the column which is having the standardized ratio more than 100 or which fail at a stress value less than equal to 200 megapascal for 830-60. So it is depending upon that what factor of safety you are using. So a long column is the column which always fails due to the at a stress value less than which what the definition here. So the definition. So a long column is the column which fails at the stress equal to 200 megapascal, so which is having the standardized ratio more than 100. Or there is another classic definition. If length of the column is more than equal to 30 times of the cross-sectional dimension, least cross-sectional dimension. So if you see this derivation from the video recorded lecture, so we are having standardized ratio 100. So flexural effect will be dominant. A long column will always fail due to the buckling. And a short column is the column which primarily fails due to the crushing or yielding of material. It is never undergo buckling. So definition of the long, short and intermediate column is depending upon failure behavior. It is not depending upon standardized ratio or critical stress. So standardized ratio is indirectly converted from the failure behavior actually. So normally experiment shows that if length of the column is less than equal to 10 times of the least cross-section dimension, then that column will never undergo buckling. So that column will fail when applied stress will either be equal to yield stress in case of steel or crushing value of the material for any other material. So these type of the column normally have tenderness ratio less than 30. So in between we are having intermediate column. So I'm not going to discuss this problem. So I'm only going to discuss the solution of one part from this example 10.1, and the book is Mechanics of Materials by Beer and Johnson, 6th edition. Example is 10.01. So we are having a column which is having the 2 meter length. Both ends are pinned. So K value is equal to 1. So we're supposed to design a square cross section column which is made of wood, and E value of the wood is 13 gigapascal given, and maximum allowable stress. The stress value should not exceed the 12 megapascal, using factor of safety 2.5 in computing Euler critical load for buckling. So factor of safety is used to convert the critical load into the safe load, or to bring the stress value or the loading from the collapse state to the safe limit. So if the critical load is divided by factor of safety, so we are having the safe load value. Determine the size of the cross section if the column is to safely support the load of 100 kilonewton and a load of 200 kilonewton. So these are the safe load value given, not critical load. So safe load is always obtained by dividing the critical load with factor of safety. So I'm only going to discuss the part B. Length is 2 meter, factor of safety 2.5, E value 13 gigapascal. Effective length will be K value multiplied by its length, and which is 2 meters. K value is equal to 1 because both ends are thin. Part B. So factor of safety is the ratio between the critical load over safe load value. Or if we multiply the or if we divide the critical load with factor of safety, so we shall have the safe load. So we are given the safe load value, so we may reverse calculate the critical load, multiplying the safe load value with factor of safety 2.5, so critical load is 500. Why we are doing? Because we are only having the formula for critical load. So here, when we are having this Euler formula, we are having P critical value. We know the E value for the wood. We know effective length. Phi is constant. Only unknown is moment of inertia. So we can represent this equation in terms of I value by cross multiplication. Substitute P critical value 500 kilonewton multiplied by 1000, because all values in this equation should be in Newton and millimeter. So units should be consistent. Length is also in millimeter, and moment of E value is also in megapascal, because we are given 30 gigapascal. So after computation, we are having the answer 15.588 into exponent 6. So we're supposed to compute the size of the square section. So for rectangular cross section, if the both dimensions are equal to B, so moment of inertia is equal to B d cube divided by 12. So D is also equal to B. So moment of inertia of this square section is equal to B power 4 divided by 12. So we equate this expression with already computed value. So we are having the B value 116.95. So we will convert into the multiple of 5 millimeter. So answer will be 120. So actually here we need to check this safe this stress value with allowable value. So actually allowable stresses will always be compared by the stress computed from the safe load. So safe load is given 200 kilonewton. We shall convert into Newton and divide it by the computed size area 120 into 120. So it means that applied stresses are 13.89 megapascal. So these are more than 12 megapascal. So it means that the stress are more than P safe. So what we shall do? So it means that the stress value or the size of the column will not be based on the critical load. Rather, it will be based upon the allowable stress value or the safe load value. So we shall reverse calculate from this expression. So sigma allowable is equal to P safe divided by cross section area. So area is unknown. P safe is 200 Newton. So we shall convert into Newton by multiplying exponent 3 divided by 12 megapascal. So area is computed as 16.67 into exponent 3 millimeter square. So area of square is equal to B square. So B square is equated with this expression. So we have computed the B value 129.1. And we shall convert into the multiple of 5 mm on the higher side. So B value is equal to 130. So the final cross section area will be this one. And so here I will download the tendons, and after that we shall now have a break of 10 minutes. So before I go to the break, if someone is having any question, so he can ask me by raising the hand. So any question from what we have discussed until now? So I will continue sharp at 10 minutes past 10 a.m. So please hold on. Okay, I will continue. Okay, so next is the intermediate column. So actually, I have already explained that if we are having long column, so as per definition that we have discussed in this particular course, so a long column is the one which is either having slenderness ratio more than 100 or maximum failure stress 200 megapascal. So let's suppose if we are having a material, for example 830-16, so yield stress is 250 megapascal. The proportional limit or the maximum stress that we are considering for the long column is 200 megapascal. So within this range, if failure is less than 200, so we consider that this is the range for the long column. And in this range, E value will be remain constant. So it means that if we know any particular stress value, so by using the critical stress formula for the long column, we can determine the corresponding slenderness ratio or by using this formula. So if we substitute any stress value from 0 to 200, we can compute the corresponding slenderness ratio for any if because E value will be constant. But for intermediate column will be the column which fail at a stress value between 200 to 250. So this is the non-linear range. So in elastic region. So it means that the slope of stress strain curve is changing at all points. So this tangent modulus theorem is the graphical method that will be used to plot the slenderness ratio versus critical stress graph, or to determine the critical stress for any column with any particular slenderness ratio, or to determine the slenderness ratio of column which is having failure stress between 200 and 250. So for example, what we will do, if I want to determine that what will be the slenderness ratio of the column which fail at a stress value 220, so which is within this inelastic range. So at a stress value 220, I will draw the tangent, and what is the slope of this tangent? That will be the modulus of the elasticity corresponding to that point. So if the modulus of elasticity is determined with this reference to tangent of a one point, then this is referred as a tangent modulus. So what we do in this equation, if I substitute stress value, for example, 210, so corresponding to 210, what is the modulus of velocity I can determine from this graph. And if I substitute the value, I can determine the corresponding slenderness ratio. Similarly, if I increase the stress value from 200 to 250, so I can determine the effective slenderness ratio for all stress values by substituting their respective tangent modulus or modulus of velocity corresponding to that stress value. So we need to modify the either formula, and just we need to substitute the corresponding tangent modulus for any slenderness ratio or for any critical stress value. So for the long column, E value will be constant value, which shall be. So if we are doing this, so we can plot this region. So if the slenderness ratio will be more than 100, so this curve can be plotted by using either formula. So if you substitute this slenderness ratio maybe from 100 to 200, and with a constant E value, you can determine corresponding critical stress. So stress value at which the column will buckle corresponding to any slenderness ratio can be determined by either formula. And a short column which is having slenderness ratio less than 30, they will always fail at a stress value equal to sigma y. So how we are plotting this range? So first we have assumed the stress value 250 in this formula, and we determine corresponding tangent modulus, and we have determined the effective slenderness ratio. And then we substituted, we keep on changing the stress value from 250 to 200. And then corresponding to any stress value, we have substituted the corresponding tangent modulus to determine the effective slenderness. So this curve is plotted by using tangent modulus, which is the graphical method, because we must have the complete stress strain curve for the. Okay, next formula is Rankine-Gordon formula. So, gentlemen, there's no light. Let me open the windows. So Rankine-Gordon formula, this is an empirical formula. So this formula is also applicable for all type of the column. But normally we use this formula for intermediate range of slenderness ratio. So actually this formula was first proposed by Gordon, which was further modified by Rankine. So as per Rankine-Gordon, so we do not have any maybe perfectly long column or short column. So as per them, all type of the column they fail due to the combined effect of the axial forces and buckling. It means that with more and less value. It means that if a column fail at a load of 100 Newton, then maybe partially that 30% stresses or 30 megapascal stresses will be due to the flexural effect and 70% will be due to the pure axial stress. So all type of the column, whether they are short or long. So if we are having the long column, then the flexural effect will be more dominant as compared to the short column effect. And we are having the lesser slenderness ratio, then the short column effect will be more than the long column. So PE is the Euler critical load for the long column, and PC is the ultimate compressive capacity for the short column. So as per them, the critical load of the column can be computed by taking the summation of reciprocal of the capacity corresponding to short column and long column. So this is empirical formula because this is partially based upon experimental evidence and partially on theoretical derivation. So if we simplify this formula by the cross multiplication, so we shall have this expression. P sub C is the compressive load carrying capacity of the short column, and P is the Euler critical load. P is pi square EI over effective length square, and P sub C is ultimate compressive load carrying capacity, which can be computed multiplying the cross section area either with the yield stress or ultimate stress value. So if we substitute the values here in this equation, so PC is equal to sigma y into A for steel column. This is P sub C. This is P critical. So after that simplification, I is equal to AR square, and this A will be cancelled out with this one, and we can separate out, we can bring the effective length square on the top side. So LE square over R square can be written in terms of slenderness ratio square. So here you will see that these three parameters here all are constant. For any specific material, sigma y is constant, pi is also constant, and E value is also constant. So these three constants, they can be replaced by a single constant, which is called A value or Rankine constant. The final formula will be PR sigma y into A over 1 plus A into LE over R square. So A value is Rankine constant, which is depending upon the boundary condition and material property sigma y and E. So Rankine formula can be used for all type of the column, but it gives more accurate value for a medium range of slenderness ratio, mostly for intermediate column. So it means that if you are substituting the sigma critical ranging from 250, or if you substitute any slenderness ratio value starting from 0 to 200 for any constant A value, which is constant, for example, for mild steel, sigma y is 325. If you are using this sigma y 325 and Rankine constant 1 by 7500, and by changing the slenderness ratio from 0 to 200, you can plot this curve. And this is the curve for the critical stress versus slenderness ratio, which is plotted by Rankine formula. So here we are going to discuss a problem. So I will quickly discuss because I'm short of the battery, maybe because there is no light at the moment here. So A cast iron column which is having 200 mm external diameter is 20 mm thick and 4.5 meter long. So we are having a circular hollow pipe. Yield stress is 550 megapascal. Outside diameter is 200, thickness is 20 millimeter, and length of the pipe is 4.5 meter. Just hold on. Okay, we got the light back. So assuming that both ends are rigidly fixed, compute the safe load value using Rankine formula. If Rankine constant is given as 1 by 1600 with yield strength of material is 550 megapascal and factor of safety 4 will be used to determine the safe load value. So in this table, for a cast iron, yield strength is around 560. So Rankine constant is 1 by 1600. So we are given the yield value 50 megapascal. So safe load value can be determined by dividing the critical load determined by the Rankine formula with factor of safety. So first of all, as discussed, P safe is equal to P Rankine and factor of safety. So first we need to determine the Rankine critical load. And it is always a good practice that I always write down the formula first so that I can determine that which values or parameters are given and which are not given. So if I want to determine the PR value, critical Rankine critical load, we are provided with sigma y, Rankine constant, effective slenderness ratio is given, so radius of gyration and cross-section area is required. So both ends are fixed. K value is equal to 0.5 effective length factor. So effective length will be equal to 0.5 into 4.5. So we are having the answer 2.25. So we shall determine the internal diameter, which will be equal to outside diameter minus 2 times the thickness. Thickness is given. So D inner is 160. So moment of inertia we shall determine, which is pi d outer 4 divided by 64 minus pi d inner 4 over 64. After substituting the respective parameter, moment of inertia is 46.37. And cross-section area is pi d square by 4 minus pi d inner square by 4. So value is coming out to be 11,310 millimeter square. So radius of gyration is under root I over A. After substituting the values of moment of inertia and cross-section area, so the radius of gyration is 64.237. Okay, now we also got R value and A value, so we can easily compute Rankine constant by this formula. After substituting the values, A is 1 by 1600, 2.25 into exponent 3. We need to convert the length into millimeter. So we shall divide the load value by 1000 to convert the load into kilonewton, which is 3520.3 kilonewton. So safe load value will be equal to P Rankine divided by factor of safety, which is given as a 4. So answer will be 880 kilonewton. So that is our next follow problem that I am not going to solve, but I am giving you the hint. We are having again a circular pipe. Yield strength of the material is 325 megapascal. Modulus of elasticity 200 gigapascal. Internal diameter is 38 mm and D inner is 33. Both ends are assumed to be pin. Rankine constant is given 1 by 7500. So for the given data, determine the length of the column for which either formula ceases to apply. So either formula ceases to apply mean that formula, so we have to get the division. So either formula is only applicable here if the slenderness ratio is more than 100. So it is with the wrong value. So at this value, either formula ceases to apply. But interestingly, this is the boundary point of intermediate column and long column. It means that at this point, boundary point, we can also use the either formula to determine the stress value, critical stress, and also we can use the intermediate column formula to determine the load value. It means that at this boundary point, both Rankine formula and either formula will give the same answer because this is the boundary point. So I'm assuming that at this boundary point, critical load determined by Rankine formula will be equal to critical load determined by the either formula. So if I will equate both, this is Rankine formula, this is the either formula, pi square E A over L E over R square. So by equating these two, you can determine the length because R is given. So you can solve this problem yourself. Okay, before joining the next class, I would strongly because you to review the derivation of this eccentrically loaded column or the secant formula. From here, slide number 40, you will have the different slide number. So eccentrically loaded column and how we can compute the maximum stress in the eccentric column until here. I shall only discuss the solution of this problem from this slide. Comes to I shall discuss the solution of problems 10.34, 10.3, and 13.53 only. So please review the derivation before joining the next class. So please students raise the hand who are present at the moment. Students, please raise the hand. So Miss Aniza Hamid. सिबल राशि पहले भी नहीं था, सुबह भी जहांगीर, मुकद्दस जवेद, Nushan is also not there, and Salah Mughal. तो यार ये इसको नोट करो, ये निशान ये सुबह भी नहीं था, अभी अर्लियर भी स्टार्ट ऑफ लेक्चर में भी, और मिस्टर सालेह और जहांगीर, मिस्टर जहांगीर.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so if no one, if you please raise the hand if someone is having any question he can ask me right now, otherwise I will conclude the class. Please unraise the hand, all students, please. Okay. So here, inshallah, by evening, I shall share the material for the upcoming lab. So please review that videos for the lab also, because most probably I will take the lab class tomorrow, okay, on Thursday, because we are again having meeting on Friday. So the discussion of the lab experiment will be tomorrow, inshallah, on Thursday. So if you don't have any question, I would like to conclude the class.